Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel, and this is your tip of the week. I'm going to give you a few tips on getting started in doing applique stitching. So what applique is it's taking a piece of fabric, maybe it's a particular shape that you've cut out and you've fused it on to some background fabric. Then to cover your raw edges, you need to do an applique stitch. Now, in order to do an applique stitch, look in your user's manual. So if you're going to do one of these, maybe you have these or all of these or more, look to see what presser foot that they recommend for that stitch. This particular presser foot I often use on applique stitching. It's called an open toe. So it's easier to see exactly where you are stitching. This is a pot holder I've had for many years. Now it's not an applique, but it looks like it because of this chicken or rooster that's in here. So what I did to make it look like an applique is I just chose a straight stitch and stitched right on the edge of this chicken. So you would keep the center of the presser foot right on the edge. Another thing that I did, which is a little more challenging, is I stitched around this entire scallop edge. And there again, you have to kind of move your presser foot around. One of the easiest ways to do applique stitching when you have a lot of curves or squares is to set your machine to where the needle always lands in the down position when you stop stitching. And when it lands in the down position, the presser foot automatically comes up. So it's easy to turn your project under there. Your computerized sewing machines, especially if it's a newer one, I'm sure has that option. So make sure you check in your user's manual to see if you have it. There's usually going to be a little button somewhere on the front of your machine in which you can push to put it in that mode. On this coffee cup applique, I chose the medium wide satin stitch. Now when you're selecting the satin stitch, you might have to change the length and the width to get it to look like this. So always practice your stitches on scrap fabric to see how wide or the length it needs to be changed. That's really important. Otherwise you don't want to do all of this and wonder why does it look so bad. So always do a test stitch. One of the other things I like to do to make an applique stand out is to do what I call is an echo stitch. So what I've done is I've put my presser foot right on the edge of the applique and my needle is over here on the other side. And I will just follow that edge. When I get to the corner, turn and stitch around. Now I also, up here at the top where it has the little steam lines, these little curvy lines, I also did, now this was just eyeballed. There was really no exact measurement around here. So this helps your appliques to stand out even more. This is a flower and a couple of leaves that I cut out of fabric. It was already printed on there and I just cut around the pieces and fused it on. But on this one, on the edge of the flower, I chose the narrow satin stitch. Then to make this stand out even more, I did multiple rows of the echo stitch. And I just kept going round and round till there was no more fabric left to stitch on. So on this one, it's just another shape. This is a tulip flower. So you can cut any shape you want and stitch around the edges with any applique stitch, and then also add that little echo stitch on there. And this one I only went out maybe 1/4 of an inch. On this heart applique, to make it stand out a lot, I drew one large heart and then the second heart was smaller and put it on the inside so that it really stands out. And this time I chose this blanket stitch right here. It's a really small, narrow stitch. And the reason why I chose it is because I kind of wanted to give it that it was done by hand, because in many, many centuries ago, really not that many centuries, they used to do applique in this manner. They just drew it by hand. Also, I chose the echo stitch, but I didn't go out all the way to the edge, but out just a couple of inches. I often like to alter the fabrics. So here it's yellow on the background. Then I place this blue fabric on the next block in the background. But the center heart is the same fabric. And so every other block on this table runner is, I'll have this one first, this one next, and then back to this one. And I keep placing them in that order till I get to the length I want. Sometimes I like to just work with two different fabrics, a solid and some type of print. And I wanted it to be able, like I did on the previous one, alter it every other block. So in here, I cut out a square. Then I added two pieces on each side. So I stitched this one together to this, and then went over here and stitched this. Then I cut strips for each edge and stitched them on. And then I swapped the fabric. This is the solid in the middle and then the print. And keep doing that until you get to the length that you want. Another thing that I chose to do, because it really helps to bring out all of these bright colors, even though there's only two, is I did flange quilt binding. So you have a little extra piece of fabric when you do your binding. I love working with panel fabric. It's really very, very easy, and I make all kinds of things out of panel fabric. So panel fabric is usually something that you see like this. It's got all these squares printed on it. Sometimes you get very large squares on a panel or another large design. So on these, yeah, you could make pot holders out of them, but there's another thing that you can do is you can cut them out, and to put it into a table runner, add either one large border all around it, or add the first border, then add a second border till you get your square to the size that you want. And then you could continue to add on the next one and the next one and the next one. Here's another type of panel fabric. I've had this piece for quite a few years now, and I'm afraid to cut into it. I shouldn't be, because I love it so much. So one of these days, I will make a table runner on it. So let me show you a really good way to take a nice block like this and put it into a pointed table runner. So using blocks like this is a great way to just really dress up a table. On this one, I cut out this bird fabric. There's a bird at each end. And to make this larger, I actually added two more borders on it. So I selected the colors that was within this fabric to add as a border. So you can see how you can easily take something like this and put it into the same thing. One of the tricks to take a square and add it into a table runner at each end is right here I have a seam that goes across here on the yellow fabric. So after I made this block, I added on two half-square square triangles. Couldn't get that one out. So I put the first one on and stitched it, pressed it back, placed the second one on and stitched it. Then straighten the edge out. If it's a little crooked, make sure you straighten your edge out. And then stitch it to the fabric in the center. If you don't want to make it into a pointed table runner, you could take any of those panel fabric blocks and just put it at the end of a square table runner. So now this is an 8-point star. It was to represent a flag, but you could do this with any kind of fabric. Have one solid piece in the middle and add these at each end. Half square triangles are really fun to put in because you can really make some unique designs with a half square triangle. Now this is the simplest. This has 4 half square triangles on. So you would stitch this one on first, then go across and stitch this one on, and then stitch the other 2 on, and then just attach them together. Let me show you one more really fun way to work with half square triangles. Now in each one of these sections here, there are 4 half square triangles in here. And all you need to do is you make all your half square triangles exactly the same. Then you lay them out and twist and turn till you get this zigzag pattern. So this one was laid out. So I took the next one and attached this side to this one, and then kept going back and forth all the way down. I hope you enjoyed this tip of the week and that you learned something new. Now, if you're interested in looking at some of the tutorials on some of these table runners and other projects I've showed you, I've put some links down below your YouTube screen in the description section. So scroll down till you see the word more, and then click on that and it will expand open and you will see a lot of links showing you how to do some of these projects. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and make sure you check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl, this is Manny, and this is Scotty. See you next time.